Delighted to welcome to the show Scott Baradell. He's an expert on branding and trust. He's also an author of Trust Signals, a brand building in a post-truth world. Morning, Scott. You're very welcome. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am fantastic. So this is about brands getting involved in politics. There's been a survey out, which I think is quite significant, which says it's a survey of 1,000 U.S. consumers. 62% care very little to not at all about a brand's political affiliation. 41% prefer brands keep their political positions private. 30% have boycotted a brand for political reasons in the past 12 months. The survey says only 30%. I think that's a huge number.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think, the survey was positioned as, hey, stay out of politics, but some of the data suggested that a lot of people are combining their politics with their shopping.
Right. And what's interesting to me is I don't know why they do it, because when you enter the political field, the same is true of recording artists as well. The second you do it, you're upsetting half the country. Because the reality is, we don't have to talk about why, but the reality is we're a country that is split pretty much down the middle. And, the election that's coming up is going to be really close. So if you pick one side or the other, you're upsetting half the country. And if you exist to make money, I don't know why you would do that.
Absolutely. I mean, for the great majority of products, it doesn't make any sense. I will say some brands have found some success with it. Nike, for example, they aligned with Colin Kaepernick, very controversial figure, and it was a very successful campaign for them. Of course, they had done their research. They know their customer base, and they know on balance it will be a plus for them. And just any regular brand or a brand that doesn't really know or has a cross-section of America as its customer base, Colin Kaepernick would be radioactive as a spokesperson.
There are companies I don't do business with. I never talk about them on the air because I never call for boycotts. I think that's a very personal decision. If you don't want to be associated with a particular company for a particular reason, then don't be. You certainly don't need me calling for you to boycott it. But people do that. There are organized boycotts that do take place. I guess the prime example in our most recent past would be Bud Light, right? The long time number one beer seller in the country is still not back to where it was. I don't think it's ever going to get back to where it was, actually.
I agree. I don't think it is. I think it's basically been sunk. Its core audience, as it was trying to expand and get younger beer drinkers to buy Bud Light by aligning with a trans activist, Dylan Mulvaney, it lost its core customer base in the process. Speaking of Nike, though, I got to tell you, here's the irony that no one remembers or knows. The same month that Bud Light did that disastrous campaign with Dylan Mulvaney, Nike did a sports bra campaign with Dylan Mulvaney. Nobody said anything about that. It just shows you different brands have different audiences, and the Bud Light customer base is very different from the Nike customer base.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. You have to know who your audience is, who your customers are, and then you can deal with things appropriately that you think are going to work for you. I get that. It's just so often these companies don't think this all the way through as to what might happen, and I always find that kind of shocking.
Yeah, often it's kind of the arrogance of these executives and CMOs and marketing executives and CEOs who think that they can just take their opinion or what they think is best and have that be what the company goes out there and says. And it's really not about your opinion. It's about what your customers think and what's going to sell you more product. For most brands, It's staying out of politics and aligning more with values. So you can go out there and say, our brand is all about sustainability, and 99% of Americans will support you. But if you just start talking about climate change, well, then that's a hot button issue, and a lot of people are going to be turned off. You can be out there and have a position and do better things for your community without getting in the middle of a minefield.
Absolutely right. Scott Baradell is a marketing expert. He's a branding expert. He's got a book out there. It's called Truth Signals, Brand Building in a Post-Truth World. Great title. Thanks very much, Scott. You have yourself a great rest of the day. Appreciate you.